Hello, everyone. Welcome to Somebody's Child. Today, I'm just going to talk about my story a little bit about how tribalism affected me earlier on in my life. So, I was born and raised in Limpopo in a village, in a Tonga village, which is surrounded by other villages where Venda is the main spoken languages. So, I went to town in a town where majority of the people were vendors, and even growing up, my neighbor, for example, as much as I am Tonga, my neighbors were vendor, and every child growing up from my own household would automatically at least would as early as possible get to know vendor, because the mother next door will just speak Venda, and we spoke Tonga. I never cared to actually learn how to respond in Venda, but I understood. So even the children in my house would understand when the lady call, say something in Venda, we knew how to act or respond. And we went to school learning Chitonga as the main home language, but very often when you go to town, you would meet people who are speaking Venda. Sometimes you even use the same public transport together with the people who are speaking Venda, that it just became normal. I speak Tonga, you speak Venda, we hear each other, no problem. So I grew up confident, and I never looked at another person from another tribe and maybe esteemed them better than myself. I just looked at all of us equal. We have the same opportunities. As much as I was not born free, but I started my education in 1994, primary school. So I had that illusion of this is the rainbow nation. And we took pride in our African languages. Um, and I could hear from the TV soapies that we watch, we would hear all kinds of languages. And as much as I didn't speak any other language, I at least heard when they were speaking in other languages. Except for Africans, most of the South African languages, I'm able to hear what someone is saying. I might not be able to speak back, but I can hear what a person is saying. So when I finished my primary and high school, I went to tertiary in Pretoria, and that's when the tribalism started to, to come up in my life, because most of the time when I meet a person for the first time, they will ask me, what's your name? And my name is Ntsonga. My birth name is Ntsonga. And also my surname is a common surname for the Zonga people. So anytime I tell someone my name, like, oh, okay, what language is this? And I will now say Tsonga. Or other questions that I will get is like, where are you from? Are you South African? That's at least in the early months of my first year. This way, the main questions I will get. If I meet a person for the first time, where are you from? I'm from Limpopo. Like, no, are you South African? Where are you from? Which country are you coming from? And I didn't understand why it mattered so much that it will be about the first thing after greeting that a person would ask me. But with time, I had to summon courage and start asking. Whenever someone asks me, where are you from? Now, after telling them, or even before I tell them, I will ask them, why are you asking? So with time, that's when people will begin to say, no, your skin tone looks quite different. Your hair length, how come you have this kind of hair? But the surprising part is that even though people will ask me this question, when I ask them, okay, which country do you think I come from? People always had different responses. Some people will say Ethiopia, Namibia. I'll just get a random country that it didn't make sense. Like, how do you see the people from these specific countries? Like, how do you, by just looking at a person, be able to see that the person is coming from this or different things, like your accent is not South African, a whole lot of things that people will say whenever they ask me these questions. But that made me to start to be self-conscious, to start realizing that that means I stand out anytime I meet people, which is it's not a good identity to have, to know that everywhere you are, you you stand out, and not standing out in a manner that some people would actually say, "Oh, I thought you're not South African. I thought you kwere kwere," which is one of the words that people would use to call someone who is from outside the country, who is a foreigner. I don't think this is it's a nice word to say. And another thing that people would say, oh, mashangani, I'm Tsonga. I'm letting you know I am choosing specifically to say I am Tsonga, but a person will say, oh, mchangani, machangani, and I found it offensive, and more so because most of the time when people ask me this, it was for them to decide how they will treat me from knowing this information. So one of the things that I did, which I guess was one of the things that I didn't do well as a university student, I didn't also invest time in learning other people's languages. Yes, I guess I didn't have the opportunity to, because I didn't choose my friends based on the language they spoke. So I had friends from different tribes, but I was often surrounded by people from outside the country, South Africa, and I have enjoyed good friendship with people from outside South Africa. Some of them are still my friends till today, and we have had a beautiful relationships that is still ongoing. So I didn't use a person's tribe to choose who to associate with, because there are other qualities which you would look for in a friend than just the fact that they are from your tribe. I've also had good relationships with Tonga people from my place, from the surrounding places, but I was often very upfront about, when someone asks you, where do you come from? They would expect, because you are Tonga, you must say, I come from Guyana, but I didn't come from Guyana. I come from around Makado Ilim, which is very far from Guyana to associate me with people from Guyana. So I come from that area, and I would be very specific. I am Tsonga, but I don't come from Guyana, because then the moment you say you're from Guyana, you're now putting yourself in a situation where you're gonna answer for things you don't even know. Like the areas in around Guyana, I'm not so familiar with them compared to where I come from, villages surrounding Elim. So, my question to you, or the lesson to learn from this, it's very much uncomfortable to be asking a person, "Where are you from?" as one of the first things you say to a person you don't know. It's like, what is the motive behind asking, "Where do you come from?" Is it because you want to treat the person better? Like, what is the motive for meeting a person for the first time? And the first question you say after greeting them is, where do you come from? Are you South African? Because for me, to be honest, anyone who asks me like that from the get-go, I already mark them as people who maybe they don't like people from my tribe. Because if maybe you hear my name and you're suspecting something, I appreciated more the people who will ask me, what's the meaning of your name? And I can then voluntarily say, my name means this, it is in that language, than for someone to ask me, oh, what tribe are you? And then I specify the tribe I identify as, and you now use the street's name to address me. Like, oh, Mshangani. But I said I'm Tsonga. I didn't call myself Shangani. I said I'm Tsonga. So it could be something small to you, but it will be good if we all educate ourselves to, like, what is an insultive way of calling a person, and what is each tribe actually called? What do we prefer to be called? Because a person now picking something that is being said from the street to address a person, and all those stereotypes. Oh, who's playing that loud music? Oh, Mashangan. They have started, that kind of language and grouping and stereotype about people. Because to be honest, I would have missed out on most of the beautiful relationships I have had in my life with people from different tribes or races or even countries if I approached it based on what you hear from out there. And also, the children of then, we are now adults, we are now parents. It's how in the household we how we socialize our children. That's how they will go out into the workplace, and they will go out and behave based on what they have had from their parents, how their parents approach things, how they call the person next door based on their tribe or race or the country they come from. It's things that they're going to learn from our own houses. So it's important that we learn, and is it good manners to be asking every person you meet, where are you from? Is it the basis of how you're gonna relate with that person? Why are you asking such a question? What is the motive behind such a question? It's important that we get to a point where we start asking ourselves that, is it more important to know which tribe the person comes from? Is there a tribe that you deem inferior from your own tribe? And after you ask, and then what? Yeah, it's a different thing when you have known a person for a long time, when you have related with the person, or you just want to speak their language. You can try and approach it from that angle. But from my experience, most of the time people ask these questions out of hate, out of being spiteful, and outrightly trying to insult another person, and that's not good. Ask yourself anytime that temptation to ask a person you're just meeting about their tribe. Ask yourself, what's the motive behind your questioning? In my case, where people will say it's the skin tone, it would have been nice to say, oh, you have such a skin tone, such a nice skin tone, or you've got such nice beautiful hair, than to say or to conclude based on the length of the hair or the skin tone that you you probably are not South African. So yeah, that's my lesson for today. That's my story for today. We'll continue from here. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, and see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Somebody's